Students. For this first class, Professor Fabrizio is going to be covering basically the essentials of economics. And you may have done some of this already and gone over it, but it is a chapter that is essential for both micro and macroeconomics because essentially what it does is it builds the model for the foundations of what economics is. And this particular summary of what Chapter 1 is about is the three key economic ideas. And that's found in pages 4 through 8 of your book. The first three key elements of economics are that people are rational, people respond to economic incentives, and optimal decisions are made at the margin. What do we mean by when we say decisions are made at the margin? When decisions are made at the margin, people make choices between all resources that are available to them rather. All resources essentially are considered to be scarce. So when you say that people are rational, well, the way the world has been, you don't know sometimes, but the way people are considered to be rational and the way an economist would look at it would be that people are going to give something up which is valuable to them to do something else which is more valuable to them. And that we'll study down the road is economic opportunity cost. That's something that we all really have to think about very carefully, economic opportunity cost. It's what we're giving up to do one thing as opposed to something else. But along those lines, when they say people think at the margin, that means that they will make choices to do something or to act on something up to a certain point. And then at that point, that's considered to be the margin. They will change what they do and do something else. So here again, rational people thinking at the margin to make economic choices on things that are considered to be scarce. And really, most decisions that are made at the margin. The second thing is that you'll probably cover tonight is that the economic problems that every society must solve. And that is on pages 8 through 12 of your book. And it really goes into how an economy answers the following questions. What goods and services will be produced? How will the goods and services be produced? And who will receive those goods and services? And pages 8 through 12 is going to bring you through the facts that there are, one, a limited amount of resources. As we said, all resources are considered to be scarce, that will produce a limited amount of goods and services. Now notice we use the word limited. Limited refers to scarcity. Now, we just talked about economic opportunity cost. I should say we touched on it, and that people make decisions at the margin. So when you connect the dots, the cost of producing more of one good and the value of what must be given up to produce it. Okay, here's an example. If I wanted to produce gasoline to run cars, okay, how much petroleum will it take for me to refine the oil that's needed? in order to service the cars, which is the end result. The cost of doing that is passed on from the producer to the retailer to the consumer. So we need to figure out more efficient ways to do that because we only have a certain amount of scarce resources and we have to figure out how to allocate those resources. And as we go through the book, we'll be going into a lot more detail about that. The next point is on chapter 12 through 17 of your book. It's looking at the role of models in economic analysis. Well, every economist builds what they call an economic model. And why do economists use models? They use models because they are essentially simplified versions of reality to analyze real-world issues. There are two types of economists in the world. One is the real, and the other one is the nominal. The real is how it is, and the nominal is how we think it should be. The next thing is the difference between micro and macroeconomics, and that is on page 17 of your book, and you can read how they distinguish between the two. Microeconomics is a much smaller scale and really focuses on consumers' buying and behavior. It also looks at trade. It also looks at comparative advantages and basically what the consumer will do at the margin and what the producer will do at the margin to create equilibrium. And we'll talk about concepts like that and also about elasticity. We're also going to look at what we refer to as producer and consumer surpluses. This is all in micro. Now, it's my understanding that you've already covered macro, so you've gone into fiscal policy, monetary policy, GDP. GDP is in micro. It's in macro. You went into GDP and gross domestic product and GNP, gross national product. I'm sure that you also studied about how the Treasury Department works and how we look at the larger scale of economics, the Federal Reserve, and all of that. The next thing is a preview of important economic terms, and that's on page 17 to 19 of your book. And then in your appendix, not your physical ones, in the book, on pages 27 through 38, there's graphs and formulas to analyze economic situations. So at any rate, it's my expectation that is what's going to be covered on the 27th of October. On that night, that day, I will be working on behalf of Curry College, making a presentation on developing alternative learning styles for students, which I have been working on for years and has been accepted as a paper for NABET. NABET stands for the National Association of Business and Education Technology, the integration of both. And I've been looking forward to attending this for a very long time, and hopefully I can make some impact to figure out ways to help students learn better. Barring any other emergency situations, weather-related incidents, that will be the only time that I will not be in class. So I will physically see you every time for the remainder of the 7 weeks of the course, and Professor Fabrizio was kind enough to go in and facilitate this class for me. But there is also an assignment for you, and that assignment is for Chapter 2. I will be going over that actually on week 2 when I come in to class. And if you will be kind enough to bear with me, week 2, we will essentially get a chance to meet and greet and so forth. And your syllabus is up there. I've also put up, which hopefully you will read in the announcements, and this will be past tense for you, but a Read Me First video, which kind of explains about the course, my way of teaching, etc., etc. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. And what I invite you to do now is to click the reading, listening, and viewing of chapters 1 and 2, and that's what I will be covering in Module 1. Okay? Have a good day.